back to the Brianna and Devin Toy Channel. So in today's video, I want to give a big thanks to one of my subscribers, Terrah Animates, and a big shout out to her for suggesting this video. On the live stream, if you watch it, which I doubt anyone watched the whole thing since it's like an hour long, but if you watched it, she did ask me in the comments to do a Pusheen themed video. So I'll try to find that comment and put it on the screen. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get into the DIYs. Alright, so to start off with this DIY, I actually filmed this and messed up, so don't mind this. But you're going to be needing one sock, and it could be any sock, any old sock, any sock you want. It could be any color as well. I've seen people do it different colors. And then you're also going to need some scissors, something to mark out your sock and like the facial features, and also basically just something to mark out where you cut, some needle and thread, or you can use a sewing machine, but I don't think that glue will work. You'll also be needing some toy stuffing, and yeah, that is basically it. You could also use some felt or other pieces of fabric to use for the facial features. And yeah, so let's get started. So this is the mistake I made when actually filming this video the first time around. But the first thing you want to do, pretend this is your sock, even though I already cut mine up a little bit. But basically you want to go ahead and flip your sock inside out. This is really important, especially if your sock is like way darker on the inside or a different color that you don't want. Basically you want the side that you want to be showing in, and then the side that you don't want to be showing out. So this is my sock. Pretend that it doesn't have the ears because I messed up there. But basically, now you just want to, if this was the toe, and I know I cut off the toe, but this is the toe of the sock. And basically on the other side, so the other end of the toe, you want to basically just go ahead and take whatever you're using to mark it out with, and then just draw out basically like little ears. I'm going to get something that I can see. So I'm using some chalk since my sock is so dark. Alright, so here I have kind of sketched out how I want my ears to be, and again I messed up, so pretend that's not there. And now you're going to take some needle and thread and basically just sew along this line. Okay, so now once you have sewn your line, you basically want to go ahead and just cut around your line, and make sure you don't cut on the line that you sewed, because then all of your stitches will come out and you'll have to start over again. Alright, so this is what it looks like. Everything is sewn, and now you want to flip your cat. Well, actually, before you do that, you're probably going to still have the toe of your sock on the sock. So you want to go ahead and cut a straight line right across and just snip that whole toe out. And then once you have the toe out, go ahead and flip your cat the right side around. So now your Pusheen should look something like this, a little more like a cat. And mine is super short because I had to redo it, so make sure you don't make a mistake. But now you want to go ahead and grab some stuffing and whatever you want to stuff it. You can even use like a bunch of tissues to stuff it. And yeah, so now once your Pusheen is completely stuffed, you basically want to take your needle and thread again and sew around this perimeter right here to just close this huge gap. Alright guys, so this is what the Pusheen looks like when it is all sewn up. And now the next thing to do is basically sew and cut out all the body parts. That includes the hands and feet, or the paws and feet, and the tail, stuff like that. And also I'm going to have my Pusheen holding something, so we'll also get to that in a minute. So I'm going to start off by making all of the limbs, and for this I'm basically just getting something circular and tracing it onto my remaining sock part. And if you don't have like a long sock like this one, you can just use the other sock out of that pair. So basically I'm just going to go ahead and trace around this. Now all you got to do is cut these 2 circles out, or actually they're going to turn out to be 4 because the sock is layered. So just cut those 2 out. So here are these 4 circles, and now we basically want them to turn into like little balls. So go ahead, take your needle and thread, and we're basically just going to sew the same way we've been doing with this body, and just sew around the perimeter of each and every one of those circles. Alright, so here's the first little ball that I've made, and I actually stuffed it a little bit as well. So this one is going to be the foot, and it doesn't really matter if it's the leg or the hand, whatever. But basically I'm just going to go ahead and position it on to the plush like this. Find out where I want it to be. So here is the first foot sewn on, and now basically you just want to put another foot here and then 2 paws right here, right beside each other. Alright guys, so now once you have all the limbs on your cat, your Pusheen, it should look like this, but the next step is to give this cat a tail. So I'm just taking my scraps left over from my sock that I cut up, and I just kind of sketched out a tail. It could be like any sort of shape. All you want to do is sketch out a tail and then make sure it is thick enough. Mine's a little on the thin side, so I'm going to probably kind of go around it a little thicker. But basically, now just like we did with the top of the Pusheen head, just go ahead and take your needle and thread and just sew along the lines that you made. But make sure not to sew along the bottom of your tail where you're going to connect it to the butt. So yeah, just make sure to leave an opening so we could stuff it. Alright guys, so I actually really forgot to mention, and I kind of messed up, but you actually want to trace and sew the tail on the opposite side of the color of your sock. This might not matter for some socks, but remember that my sock is like a black on the inside, and I want my Pusheen to be gray. So that is why I flipped it around so we could sew it and then flip it back around to the right side. But once everything is sewn, now just take your scissors and again at Pusheen, just go ahead and leave some space between the fabric and the stitches, and just go ahead and cut out your tail. Alright, so this is what the tail looks like once it is all cut out. I had to really be careful, and I actually almost messed it up because the stitches that I made were dark, so it was really hard to see. But now once all that is done, just go ahead and flip your sock the right way in. And unfortunately, I actually had some problems with my fabric because I actually didn't have enough fabric to do the tail. So you really want to make sure that you have enough fabric before you start sewing anything. But let me just go ahead and fix up the top of it before we move on. Alright guys, so now once you have your tail cut out, and you flipped it inside out and you stuffed it, now it is time to attach it to your Pusheen. So for this, I'm just going to go ahead and attach it the same way I did with all the other limbs, basically. Alright guys, so now the tail is on the Pusheen and everything is looking pretty good. But now this is the extra step that you can do if you really want to transform this super cute plush. But now I'm going to put something right in the middle of its 2 paws right here to make it look like he's eating something. or just carrying something, and I decided to actually put a heart here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some felt and just cut out a heart. So this is what the heart looks like. It's right there, and I actually just decided to use part of my tie-dye shirt that I cropped. So yeah, now I'm just going to go ahead and sew along the lines that I drew and cut it out. Alright guys, so I kind of took a break from the PUSHEEN plush because my friend came over, but now we're going to continue, and I basically just went ahead and sewed everything up after I turned it inside out and also put stuffing in. That's why it's kind of messy on this side because I had to like close the gap where I put the stuffing in. But now it's time to actually sew the heart onto your PUSHEEN plush. So to do that, well, first I'm going to cut off the excess string I have here. But basically just go ahead and take your needle and thread, and I still had like leftover thread, so that's why I'm using it. But you basically just want to go ahead and just kind of attach it to the arm. Now we're going to just go ahead, tie off the string here and repeat it on the other side to attach it to the other hand. Okay, so this is how my PUSHEEN is looking so far. Everything is sewn on and I really like how it's turning out. But now I'm going to go ahead and add some of the stripes that PUSHEEN has, like on his back, here, and on the tail. And then the last part of this DIY will be the facial features. But let's go ahead and start with the stripes on the back. He has 2 of them. And you could use like paint for this or markers, but I wanted to use the inside of my sock since it's black and PUSHEEN's stripes are black. So I'm gonna go ahead and just use my chalk to draw out some stripes. Alright, so here is the stripe that I drew out. It should just kind of be something that's going to go on the back. And you need 2 of these, so I recommend just folding over your fabric so you can cut it out. And we don't need to do any kind of fancy stitching with this, so just go ahead and cut both of your shapes out. Alright, so after kind of fiddling around with the stripes on the back and kind of like trimming off any necessary edges, this is what I have here. I still think they're a little thick, but we're just going to have to deal with it. Those are the 2 stripes on the back, so I'm going to go ahead and just sew them on around the whole perimeter here, and then I'll get back to you guys once I've done that. Okay guys, so I have decided to thin out these stripes even more and then sew them on, and I think they look really good like this. But anyway, now it is time to add on the stripes on her head. Or is PUSHEEN a him or a her? I don't even know. I think it's a him. I think. Not 100% sure. And then the stripes on his tail. And then the facial features. So for this, you could use fabric and stuff like that. But I'm deciding to just use paint. And this is very messy, but this is fabric paint. I'm using the Tulip Puffy paint, I believe, in case you were wondering. But yeah, so now I'm just going to go ahead and apply that on with a toothpick just to make sure it is easy that way. Alright, so I went ahead and did the 3 stripes on the head. Now let's work on the tail. Alright guys, so it is in fact the next day, and I don't remember if I actually showed you what the PUSHEEN looks like after all the paint, but I have the 3 lines up here, and then the lines around his tail, and obviously those 2. So now, the last thing to do before we finish this DIY is the face. So I'm going to again take some of my fabric paint and just use a toothpick to put the face on. You could of course use like beads for the eyes, or even sew on the mouth and stuff like that. But I wanted to keep this easy for you guys, so let's go ahead and paint on the face. Okay guys, so this is the finished PUSHEEN plush. I'm so happy with how he turned out, and I'm wearing a bathing suit right now, which is why I look a bit different from yesterday. But yeah, this is how he turned out. I absolutely love him. Here's the whole spin. I definitely recommend that you try this DIY out. It did take me a while to film, but I think if you just make it and without doing a video, it wouldn't take you as long as I did. But yeah, it is a very easy DIY, but it does take some time. But I'm just in love with how he turned out. He turned out so amazing, and I think the heart could have been a little bit better, but I think you could still tell that it's a heart, right? But yeah, that is the whole DIY. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Also subscribe to my channel to see more fun videos like this one. And once you've done that, click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload. And you can also comment down below any video suggestions or anything like that. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye! And also, thanks so much to Terrah Animates once again for requesting this video. I had such a great time making this plush.